Welcome to the Critical Few Actions to Improve Your Business podcast. I'm John Downs and I'm here to help you cut through the overwhelm and prioritise what matters most to improve your business. Let's get started and discover the critical few actions that have the biggest impact. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Steve Wood, who this week is releasing his 10th book on business improvement called The Four Aces. I've known Steve since way back in 2016 when we worked together with the Institute of Management Consultants, Australia's only professional body for management consultants. He mentored me in my accreditation as a certified management consultant, and since that time, Steve began capturing his client experiences in book after book. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, John.
So Steve, it's an intriguing title. What are the Four Aces?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that one. The 2010, Roaring Success was just starting, and we had a junior consultant in the team. And we had an office down in South Melbourne, and she came to me and she said, Steve, what should I be working on? I'm thinking, oh, this is a good question. I'm thinking, well, paused. There's only 4 things you should be working on, I said to her. And she said, what's that? Well, the first thing is we need to find and attract and win some customers. Because if we have no customers, we have no money. She said, yeah. And then the second thing we need to do is give those customers exactly what they've asked for. So we need to deliver the projects. The third thing we need to do is do it in a way that is easy, simple, streamlined, so that we can do it well with no mistakes, no repetition, no double counting, no wasting time and effort. So we actually do it efficiently. So that's the third thing we should be working on. And the last thing we should be working on is creating new ideas, new intellectual property, because then we can sell that to our current customers and new customers. So those are the 4 ideas that I said we should be working on. I said to lovely lady, if you're not working on any of those 4 things, I was a bit harsh on her. I said, you're not working. We need to be working on those things. So that generates the cash. So that's where the idea came from. And then the 4 aces themselves is a story from my family. We're visiting from England, and we were playing bridge. Now, some of you may be playing bridge. A lot of people don't. But basically, it's about you bid how many tricks you're going to win. And my partner was my mother-in-law, Beryl. And I was actually just having a look. We were dealt in our hand all the 4 aces. 3 kings, 3 queens, 1 jack, and we had a long suit in spades. We had 9 of them. And so the bidding went up really well, and we got to 4 spades, and Beryl says, so who's playing this then? I said, you are, Beryl, I'm dummy. And I went off and got a gin and tonic. And Beryl was petrified because we bid to win a lot of tricks. But as it happened, because we had so many good cards, she could hardly do anything wrong, and we cleaned up. So there you go. So the idea was, you've got to focus on the right things. And if you have the really strong cards within your hands, then it's actually impossible to do really well.
Fantastic.
That's where the idea came from.
Oh, that's brilliant. That sounds like a pair of dream hands to be dealt. That doesn't happen very often indeed.
I've not seen it before, John.
No, I can imagine that. So take me through an example of each of the 4 aces. Can you give me some insight into this ace of spade, customers, find and winning the right people?
Yeah, I can. So let me tell you a story about a young lady. She's relatively new to consulting. She's got a PhD, super smart lady. And she was starting up in Australia, and she was having a bit of a tricky time landing her customers. And she had this opportunity to win a client back in England at one of the universities. And she was getting very, very stressed over the idea of, how do I land this customer? How do I make it work? And, does my price needs to be lower because, it's very expensive. And she was going around in circles about what to do. She didn't know. She was getting stuck on the dollars per hour thinking. And I said to her, what we need to do is be clear that this customer is exactly what you want them to be. So you need to ask them lots of good questions and make sure you understand the budget and make sure you understand what they want and need and make sure that you can deliver exactly what they need. Radio. And so she then actually improved her offer and she picked that particular customer with a better price, easier to do, and better for everybody, actually. So that's a good example of working with the right customer.
Yeah.
She's all too stressy.
Yeah, well, it often happens when you're actually having the conversation with everybody but the customer.
Yeah.
You're just having the conversation with yourself, then there's somebody fundamental missing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So that talks about, okay, have we got the right client in our gun sights, and can we help them? So I guess the next ace is your ace of hearts. So tell me about that. Delivery, actually giving what customers want.
Look, this is super tricky. Let me ask you this one question. Have you been in a situation where you go to a supplier and you say, I want an ABC with an underscoring Z? And they say, yeah, I've got one of those, but it's not here and you need this instead. They actually try to sell you something else, which is not what you want. It's not what you need, and it's outside your budget. And so it's super important to focus on asking the right questions so that you can give the customers exactly what you want. So one of the tricks within the Four Aces book is about asking power questions. So the power questioning, if you like, very quickly, is what's the customer's problem? Listen, ask questions. What's the opportunity that presents for them if it goes away, and for us if we can help them solve it? What is it, what is it that they really want out of this? Probably and normally they want the problem to go away, but actually they want other things as well. Yeah. So that's a bonus if we can discover that. E is the expected result. So what does it look like when we've finished? And then R, what's the risk? Because normally there's always risk there. And it's normally a risk that we haven't thought about, and nor have they. So if we ask the right kind of questions, then not only can we solve the problem for the client, but we can also help them and achieve other things as well, like have the Friday off, like have some time at home, like have a boss smiling at them and saying, look, here's a bonus because you've done really well.
Yeah. And I guess part of those power questions is to actually understand enough about what the client's really asking for to determine whether or not what they want is what they need.
And also whether it is, I like to see a supply and customer relationship as a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a choice. If a customer says, I want this, particularly within consulting, we as consultants, we can choose whether we want to do that work and whether we want to work with that person.
Yeah.
And so it's not mandated that we have to. So it's a two-way street. So a good fella that I know called John says he's got a filtering process for filtering out people.
Yeah.
And John told me he won't work with idiots. So that's a little filter. And I really like that. And so I asked lots of questions. I'm thinking about the problem. I'm thinking about, can I help them? I'm doing the power questioning in my head. And then I'm thinking about the relationship. Can I work with you? Will it be easy in due course for me to work with you when it gets really stressy and we have to make some tricky decisions? Will that be doable? Will it be workable for both of us? And if I can't come to that decision, yes, in my head, then probably I can't help the client.
Yeah. I think the 8-hour flight test is always a good one. Can I sit next to this person for 8 hours on a flight and then want to go and have a cup of coffee with them when we get to the destination? And the other one that I'm trying to detect when I'm going through that power questioning process, Steve, is are they prepared to listen, and will they give it a red hot go? And for me, that's a proxy for, can they actually be helped? Or do they already know all the answers, in which case, why do they need me anyway?
Yeah, exactly. I was introduced to a fella. He was a multimillionaire already. He ran a big business already. He was introduced to me. He needed some help. It turns out once I'd asked him lots of questions in the area of strategy, where to take his business and how to focus and target on better customers for growing his business. And I put a lot of effort into understanding this. And I put a lot of effort into writing up as a proposal. And then we went into the meeting. This is a true story, right? Went into the meeting and he said to me, thank you for coming. I need to see the proposal before we can start. And I said to him, let's call in Jimmy to protect the innocent. I said, Jimmy, the idea is for me to talk you through the proposal so that you can understand, you can ask questions. And he said, no, I need to read it ahead of time. So he made me sit there like a naughty schoolboy for 5 minutes whilst he skimmed through it. Seriously, that's how I felt. And then once he'd done, he got a pen and he got a pen and he put a line through, don't need that, don't need that. No, that's not how we do it. Don't need that. And my, say, $40,000 proposal, strip was 30, strip 22. And I just closed my folder and I waited for him to burn himself out. Then I said to him, Jimmy, yes, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think I can help you. Why not? Well, you've invited me here to talk you through my ideas and you've given me zero time whatsoever to actually talk you through it. And I don't know about you, but my gut is screaming at me, run away. So I'm going to wish you a good day and I'm going to leave. Thank you. And I walked out and I didn't take that client. And then afterwards, the next day, absolutely amazingly, Jimmy wrote to me, says, Dear Steve, I don't know what happened yesterday, but I'd like to start again if it's all right with you. And I wrote back to him saying, no, sorry, I can't do that. He had no idea, poor fellow.
No, very wise.
No idea.
Your gut is a great educator. It takes on so much more data than just what you hear across the table.
Yeah, and it's a big, like $40,000 is a big lot of money in anybody's. And whilst it's enticing and interesting, I just knew that if I'd have said yes, I was going to be in for a world of pain.
Yeah. Well, I remember probably about 15 years ago having to fire one of my first clients after I left Deloitte, simply because I realized that this client knew everything and couldn't be helped and couldn't listen and wasn't too good on follow through. And it was a sharp intake of breath for me when the penny finally dropped. But boy, it was such a relief. And
it is a relief.
And it made room for people to come into my life that were much more fulfilling to work with.
Yeah.
And so not a single regret in that regard. In fact, it was just one of the best lessons I'd learned in my career.
Yeah.
So tell me, Steve, diamonds, the ace of diamonds process, systems that save time and sanity. Tell me about that.
Have you ever baked a cake?
Yes.
Have you ever got
a video about it?
You ever got it wrong?
Well, in real life, I have, definitely.
Yeah, me too. And so my lovely wife, she says, let me help you. You need to do this and then you need to do that. And if you do this, then it works better and then you do that. And I'm nodding away because I've got no idea because I had no process for making this cake that she knew how to do. For her, super easy peasy. And for me, it was really tricky. And that was a big lesson in if you've got a nice, simple process and you know what to do and you know the sequence and you have your tools, it just works. And it just works. So I've got a number of processes that I particularly like. And when I'm talking to my clients, I'm trying to help them figure out how to make a better business, make more money. So I start with, where's the money coming from? Answer, it comes from your customers. Okay, so what's your customer to cash process? How does the project or the thing move? How does the money move out of your customer's pocket through your process and into your bank account? Oh, I don't know. We haven't monitored that. We haven't documented it. Well, why don't we? And see if we can find some improvements in terms of the type of customer we've got, and then what we offer them, and then the pricing and the delivery, and then make it easier, faster, better for everybody. Oh, that's a really good idea. Now, the reason I can remember that is because I've done this so often. It's a customer to cash process, and it just comes. I don't really need to think about it. I just know if I do it in this order, this way, and ask these questions, then surprise, surprise, the magic dust just mushrooms and I've got lots of good things happening and the client's very grateful. That's a process that works. It backs off the amount of thinking we need to do with the client and it just so happens. Pilots in airplanes, when they're taken off, they have a startup process. They have a liftoff process. They don't have to remember it all, although after probably 10, 15, 20 years of flying, they know it, but they still go through the get ready to take off process, don't they?
If you really want to kick off your strategic planning and work in a supportive environment with other CEOs and leaders, the CEO Masterclass in Strategic Planning and Implementation is for you. This 10-month small group course helps you craft your strategic plan, present it to a group of peer investors, and develop a habit of monthly implementation. Our waitlist is open now at CriticalFewActions.com.au. And just on that, Steve, what do you see as the common sticking points in that process from customer to cash?
a number of factors or things happen. One is there is no process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they
Being led
there's
by
a
the
process,
client
but
through their
actually,
process.
you know,
Yes.
Jimmy does it this way and Janie does it that way, and it's not written down and they haven't agreed what it is. And then secondly, they haven't got common standard ways of solving the same problem. So what happens is they solve the same problem time and time again and do it in different ways. So there's no, you know, if it takes you like 10 minutes to do something, but Jimmy does it in 5 minutes, well, shouldn't we be copying Jimmy? Yeah, good idea. Well, Jimmy, what did you do and how does it work? We should be sharing that. And a lot of companies, a lot of people don't think that way, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And reinventing the wheel is a bit of an
big time.
bit of a sport for them.
Yeah, big time. And what's very interesting, if we're disciplined about documenting things, and I've stumbled into this. You gave me a very nice introduction at the beginning. Thank you. And I discovered that if I wrote things down, it was easier to remember. Then I could use the same problem solving process with other people in other industries. And so that worked for them as well. And then it became a standard process for me. And then I could actually document that, and it became a process, it became a blog, it became a chapter in a book, and all because I started to write it down.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it certainly saves you from reinventing the wheel, which I think is a national sport at some organisations.
Totally.
And finally, we talk about the ace of clubs, your secret sauce, intellectual property.
Yes.
This is often our strategic competitive advantage. So what does a low friction idea look like?
So a low friction idea is where you take what you've already got and you adapt it very slightly and you reuse it. You take that idea, reuse it in a different situation, and it improves. You then take the same idea and you put it in a different context. So let me give you an example. I worked out that there's a method, call it customer to cash, for finding improving business. I also worked out that better types of customers bring better types of money. And so I created that into a little workshop, a face-to-face workshop. And that workshop I created and presented before COVID, actually, for multiple hundred of dollars. I also created the book, which I then sold for $35. So I had the idea, which was free. I had the book, which was $35. I had the workshop, which is $800. I could then do the workshop face to face. COVID happened, so I tweaked it again. And now I had an online workshop, which did exactly the same for exactly the same price.
Yes.
And all based on one idea, little bit, small changes, and off you go. That's anybody can do it, frankly. Anybody can do it.
If they're intentional about it, they can.
Yes.
But Steve, it sounds like there's a power of insight in those 220 pages. Is there also a joker?
Is he online at the minute?
Thank you. And so Steve, this probably took a bit more effort than copying some ideas from Instagram and GPT. How did you prioritise how these examples would end up in this book number 10?
My method, which is making the cake kind of method, is I decided there was the 4 things I wanted to talk about: customers, winning projects, process, and IP. And then I looked specifically for examples of things which I personally had experienced, blogs which I've written, articles and white papers which I've written, and I put those in there. And then I mashed them up to make sure that it flowed. And so that's how we did it. And I was asked this one time when I presented at a webinar about writing your book. How do you know when you're finished? You know when you're finished because it just hangs together nicely and there's no loose bits just hanging off the edge you really want to squeeze in but shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So that's how you get to the size. And maybe your book's 100 pages, maybe it's 200 pages or 400, whatever. It doesn't matter. You'll know when you're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you looking to pinpoint the areas that will make the biggest impact on your business? Check out the Organisation Performance and Value Diagnostic. This powerful tool lets you evaluate your business on multiple facets and provides email reminders to keep you on track. Head over to criticalfewactions.com.au and get started now. Steve, you know that I'm absolutely obsessed with not overwhelming business owners. So what are the critical few actions that they should start doing tomorrow if they did nothing else?
First of all, big plug, buy the book. There you go. And then probably if they're in the world of needing some consulting advice and guidance, they should talk to John Downs or Steve Wood and get some help in their business in private on the specific things which are tricky for them.
So really, apart from digesting all of your intellectual property, the real key is for them to actually think about what is their challenge and who can help them with it.
And there's one other step, John. They have to do something about it.
Take action.
Take action. Thinking is not enough. You actually have to take action. And by the way, there's a whole bunch of things get in the way. And we have to acknowledge this and we have to break through. And then when we take action, we learn things and then we win.
Fantastic, Steve. As always, it's been an absolute delight to chat with you. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening to the Critical Few Actions podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and grab the downloadables from the show notes. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you share it with your peers and your team. Stay focused and take action. The Critical Few Actions podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only and is not individualised business advice, nor can it be relied upon as such. You must take responsibility for your own advice, decisions, and actions.